Dr. Drew comes in here, and we do our show, and he wrings his hands, and he goes, I don't like the way the wind is blowing in our society. It doesn't feel right to me, because Dr. Drew's he plays it a little bit close to the vest, but he's very much about the founding fathers and old school work ethic and all the stuff he says when he's on his HLN show. I'd go, you would never make that excuse for your kids.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Some of these kids just don't have school supplies, so they're unable to do their homework. It's like, not in a second at the Pinsky household. Not in a second. He'd be screaming at them. What do you mean you don't have a number 2 pencil?
Paulina would have whittled one.
Yeah, you don't have access to a pencil?
Yeah.
Get to work by candlelight, But he has a sort of different, and he doesn't like where this country's going, which is just into the pussy wastebasket to me. Just everyone's got to complain, everyone's got to beef, everyone's a victim, no one's fucking working hard anymore. All the tenets that we built this country on are just sort of, I need my safe space. And
he's a constitutionalist.
He's worried. Yeah.
A word that's been thrown around a lot in the last 24, 48 hours.
And he wants to know what's going wrong, and I told him, you're the problem. Oh. And he says, well, why me? And I go, because you rich pussies with the education, with the degrees, with the privilege, essentially, are sitting there nodding your head feverishly when you have the chick with the kufi on, and she's on your show, and she's explaining that it's open season on black people, that black teens are just walking to school, and white cops are coming up behind them and shooting them in the back, and you you nod your head and go, yeah, it's a tragedy, instead of going, what are you talking about? Or income inequality, and standing up and going, hey, I work every weekend. Yeah. I got a second car. It's because I choose to work every weekend. If you want to work every weekend, you'll probably do a little better for yourself, too. Instead, it's like a lot of head nodding. Yeah, we'll never, you can never get ahead. And all that. I said, it's your fault. Mm-hmm. The people that are working, the people that are paying taxes, the people that are working evenings and weekends, the people that did what you did, Dr. Drew, which is put in thousands of hours for free so you could get your advanced degree and never stop with your nose to the grindstone, need to start stepping up and owning it a little bit. There's no shame in it. Right. There used to be, you used to aspire to be, we all grew up seeing successful people, and we aspired to be that way. And then now we resent and hate their guts, and the people who realize they're going to resent and hate our guts have to play it way down so they don't resent and hate our guts. I've always said, why does Michael Moore dress like an out-of-work lesbian trucker? Because he doesn't want us to resent him and hate his guts. I was listening to him on a replay of Stern last week. Michael Moore, and the subject of money came up. Now, that's kryptonite to Michael Moore. Now, Michael Moore can talk about how corrupt Wall Street is, and he can talk about how corrupt the big oils and big pharma and how corrupt and how their corporations, everyone. But what about when it comes to how much money Michael Moore has? Listen to his discomfort level when asked about his personal income.
I can really
Brian
hear it.
Riveting.
You never could have seen that coming, Gary.
I'm sorry, we were looking for the title of the movie. Ready, Doss?
I'm against a system that doesn't give everyone a fair shot.
So where do you invest your money?
There is no fair shot.
Where do you invest your money?
I don't have a single share of stock in anything.
But in other words, your last movie made millions of dollars. I read you made something like $24 million.
No, that's so crazy.
Isn't that?
No. I'm a documentary filmmaker. I mean, I do well, obviously. No. I do well. Yes. And
so you're worth several million dollars. Is that fair to say?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No?
No. I would
Hold
not
on.
Say,
Stop it. You're worth several million dollars, like $2 million, $4 million. You've made movies that have grossed $50 million.
He's by any measure one of the most successful filmmakers financially, just based on what the movies cost versus what they make.
Right.
By any measure.
Michael Moore is not a liar. He's a truth teller.
Sure.
He goes out and tells the truth. He goes out to Columbine. He goes out to Wall Street. He goes out to Big Pharma. He goes out to Cuba. And he tells the truth, and he brings it to the people. So he was just asked if he was a multimillionaire. He unequivocally said no. He was not. This is a few years ago, and it's from, movie about greed. But ironically, but it was a capitalism, a love story. But it was definitely a strongly no.
Yeah.
Okay, so he doesn't have a couple of $1 million.
According to this interview.
Let's find out what he does have.
That's wrong.
Your net worth is over $1 million.
$1 million.
Well, probably if you count the value of the house and everything, yeah.
Right, so where do you invest when you have a car? You must have a few.
So
he's incredibly wealthy.
So he's probably good for maybe $300,000 cash.
Yeah.
But the house, he bought the house back in '91, and that's probably.
If you count all my assets, but you got to take away my student loan debt.
Oh, at some point he said he had a minivan with 100,000 miles on it. So there's $2,000,
$2,800.
$2,800. So tack that on.
Right.
So with all that, you probably get over $1 million. Okay,
eke over $1 million.
I went home after I was driving home, and I just got home and I just tapped in his name and celebrity net worth, and I've done it with people I know, and people have done it and given it to me. Like they went, here's what it says you're worth, and I've sort of went, and I've looked at it, and I went, I guess, and I started taking, warehouses and values and assets and stuff and kind of adding them up in my head and kind of going, yeah, they're in the ballpark. I guess they're in the ballpark. They wouldn't, I'll put it to you this way, they wouldn't say that I had more money than Jay Leno, and they certainly, but they probably wouldn't say Andy Dick had more money than me. Like they pretty much got it right. Or anyway, Michael Moore, $50 million. Oh, $50 million.
Even counting the plus or minus margin of error, he's worth dozens of millions of dollars.
He's comfortable.
So just replay it again one time, Gary, and just listen to when he says. He says, you made $24 million. He's like, Then he goes, I'm a documentary filmmaker.
That's pretty bad.
But it's like saying,
cloaking yourself.
I'm a humble dairy farmer. Yeah, but you own 40 dairies.
Yeah.
Like anybody can be poor or rich artist. You can be artist that makes zero money, and you can be artist that makes $50 million, a musician. Whatever.
Remember Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer on SNL? That was always I'm just a simple caveman. I don't understand you.
Right.
But one thing I do know, my client is not. It's like, all right.
And then
cloaked yourself in this thing.
Stern is confused. Stern's just doing his job. Stern's like, well, you don't have $1 million? No, I mean, and now here's where you hear him lying.
Yeah.
Like, I can't let people find out that I have money. Okay, play it one more time.
I'm against a system that doesn't give everyone a fair shot.
So where do you invest your money?
There is no fair shot.
Where do you invest your money?
I don't have a single share of stock in anything.
But in other words, your last movie made millions of dollars. I read you made something like $24 million.
No, I know that's so crazy.
Isn't that?
No. Oh, I'm a documentary filmmaker. I mean, I do well. Obviously,
films,
No. I do well. Yes.
And so you're worth several $1 million. Is that fair to say?
No, I wouldn't say that.
No,
I would not say.
You're wrong.
That's wrong.
Your net worth is over $1 million.
Well, probably if you count the value of the house and everything, yeah.
So where do you invest?
You can stop. So what are we supposed to believe when it comes to Michael Moore?
Yeah.
That he's not a liar? He clearly is a liar.
Yeah, he's clearly invested in the narrative that people have money.
He's just
are
a
bad.
humble. Yeah, and the thing I don't
He
understand.
doesn't want to be counted amongst them. So when Drew says, whose fault is it? I say it's your fault. It's Michael Moore's fault. Because Michael Moore should be saying, yes, I have several $1 million. You want to know what I started with? Nothing.
Exactly.
Yes.
I started with a fucking parka and a fat guy hat in Flint, Michigan, and I chased my dream.
Yeah.
And I worked a lot of weekends, and I worked a lot of fucking holidays. I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't get laid, and I didn't do drugs, and I didn't fucking have a good time. And when we did... what was his first one? Roger and Me. I maxed out my credit card to make that first film, and that was all the seed money I needed. So if anyone else wants to get $50 million worth of net worth, that's how to do it. Now, you don't have to do it by raping the indigenous people or killing caribou. You can do it through just gumption and hard work. Yeah. But instead, he has to pretend like he's not that because we live in a climate where we want to turn on guys like this.
Which he helped facilitate.
Yes, that's a good point.
So now his paradox is, I am worth $50 million, but I cannot even, if someone says I'm worth not even a 10th, 1/50th of that, I'll scream, well, maybe with the van. Maybe with the house. Boy, he has a horrible business manager if he's making films that gross millions of dollars. And I like Michael Moore. And I think he does good work. It's just rich people own it a little bit. Not born with a silver spoon in your mouth, rich people. People who went out, lived the American dream, and went and got some.
It makes his case stronger if he owns that and says, look how hard it is. Look how hard I had to work, and I'm here. But I realize that there are not a lot of people like me.
And I did it not having my hands, in the deep pockets of big pharma, big this, big that. He did it himself.
And by the way, if you now are not a fan of my product and not a fan of my art and will not go see my next movie because you now realize I have several $1 million from decades of very hard work, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't need you if you're basing this movie or this product on what kind of house I live in or what I have in the bank.
How many movies do you think are made by someone who does not have several $1 million?
Yeah.
Less than 1%.
The J.J. Abrams and Star Wars, you know what I mean? It's
every movie in the theater right now is made by someone with several $1 million. In a studio or a person.
Fine.
Or
we want to be entertained. That's all right. I'm just saying we're losing it when Drew is saying, what's going on? What's going on is you guys aren't owning it. You don't just go, I'm rich. I was born rich. Now get out of my face. You go, I was not born rich. I am rich now. Here's how I got there. And here's how you can get there as well.
How did he react to you when you said that to him?
He always just kind of, he gets real Jewy and he just sort of shrugs.
You cunt.